Hey guys, welcome to part 15 of the 66 Mustang rebuild. You can see last week we got the engine installed finally, and so everything else that we've got is easier than that. And I think this week, first thing I'm going to do is jump underneath there and work on getting the transmission linkage reconnected and drive shaft and all that stuff. So that's probably the hardest part that's left. So I want to get that out of the way, get that done, and then we'll come in. Alright, so all that wrestling around you saw underneath the car there was me putting in the transmission fluid, hooking up all the parking brake stuff. The drive shaft is in. I know you can't see any of this, but I'm telling you. And speedometer cable is in. A couple more things I got to do underneath there is it's easier to reach is hook up the exhaust back to the motor and get the starter on the ground on while I'm down there. Then I should be back up here, I think. We should do that tomorrow night. Alright guys, I think I finally have everything underneath the car hooked up. I just now finished the linkage there, the clutch linkage. I gotta put the spring on it still, but all of it's hooked up. Exhaust is all connected all the way. The starter is installed. Oh, you can't see a lot of this stuff, but so I think I'm back up to the top, and now I will start with wiring harness, I believe. Well, let's see. Now I might go ahead and do the battery box and get that installed, because I remember that holes didn't line up exactly right, so that might take a little while, so I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, I got one of the shocks installed all the way, all the way through down to the bottom. And then I realized before I got started doing the other one that I'm missing a rubber spacer that goes underneath it, so I'm gonna have to wait and go to the parts store tomorrow and get that. So then I started on the wiring harness, got it all laid out and cleaned, and I'm gonna get ready to start installing that. Just trying to remember where everything was hooked up, and we'll set up a time lapse and see if I can remember it. Alright guys, so last night I came down and sanded down these valve covers and repainted them. Make sure they were the exact same shade of blue as the rest of the engine. So now I can actually install those and actually put oil back in the motor. So that's one of the things I was waiting to do. And then I'll jump back on this and start reinstalling the wiring harness. I already got it laid out where it goes. Got some of it installed, but there's some more. You just start clipping it where it goes, and just that whole process. And then I got the rubber pieces to install this other shock over here, so we'll get that done. And it'd be really nice to actually be able to get this thing started today. There's a possibility, but we'll see how it goes. I've just been working away here and thought I better give you guys an update. I've got the alternator on, the brackets on, coil, distributor, wires are all on the correct cylinders, carburetor. I've got one wire that's tore up that I've got to go find some ends for, which means I'm going to have to go to the store. So I'll do that, and then I can start putting the fan and the pulleys back on, and the belt, get that tightened up, and then start working on radiator and antifreeze. Okay guys, it's about the moment of truth here. I think I have everything connected, all the grounds, belt, the oil is in, carburetor's all hooked up, all the wiring is connected, have antifreeze in there, at least enough much that would fit until it starts running and pump some more in there. Hoses are all connected, wiring. So, only one other thing to do is see if this thing will start. And I mean, I'm going to have to pump and pump and pump and pump and pump, trying to get fuel back up here too. It's been months and months since it's had fuel in it. So, okay, I've got the garage door open because I'm an optimist. This is going to start. Good sign, the lights are on in neutral. Let's see if it even cranks. Hey, that's a good thing. Hey, mamma mia! Woo-hoo. That's all right. At least it started. Just got to get the card dialed back in. Sure.
12 seconds later.
So that's a load off. Have this thing running again. Sure it's charging. Oil pressure's good. Alright, let's let it warm up a little bit so I can try to get some antifreeze down in the old motor. Alright, so I've got the antifreeze down in there. Sucked it down in. That's good. I hear a little small tick over on this other side. I've got a exhaust leak right here on this donut. I can feel it with my hand. So I need to tighten that up some more. Alright, it's the next day. Got a couple of things I want to do here. Last night I tightened up that flange around the, I don't know if you can see it or not, around the exhaust right there where I had that leak, exhaust leak that was ticking. So that's tight. We'll start it up here in a little bit and see if that fixed that problem. But first I'm going to go ahead and get the antifreeze box that goes right here that holds the excess antifreeze. There's a tube that comes back up here and goes into this. I need to get that all installed so I can let it run longer and circulate. So let's do that and then we'll start it up. I've already got the back end drop back down because I think I'm done underneath, but I want to make sure before I drop the front down that that exhaust is fixed. So let's finish this real quick and then we'll start it up. Alright, so I've got all this antifreeze stuff connected and I still haven't started it back up yet. Tightened the exhaust as tight as I can get before I'm worried that I'm going to snap the bolt off in the manifold or something, but it is super tight and if I still have a leak or a tick I got to try to figure out how to fix that. And so that's all connected. I'm going to go ahead and connect the windshield washer, put the squirters back in and run the hose over here. I just got the pump put in. So I'll install that the rest of the way, put the bag on there, and then probably drop this thing down on the ground and start her up. And I'm waiting for some parts before I finish hooking up the rest of the headlight parts and all that. I've got some fasteners that were missing from the original that I'm going to install. And don't worry, those bolts right there, and I've got bolts ordered for those brace bars up there. Those are not staying on there, so that's coming in on this order too. Should be here tomorrow. Alright guys, it's finally back on the ground. Long time since it's been sitting on the ground. Windshield washer, squirters all connected and mounted, hooked up. So I'm going to start this thing and just back it out a little bit and let it run with exhaust outside. Alright, we've reached our normal operating temperature on the motor, so I'm going to check the timing. I got the timing light hooked up. Alright, so I've got a little bit more tweaking to do on that. It seems a couple things. I'm going to work on the timing a little bit more to get it exactly right. Still running a little bit rough. And then the choke does not seem to want to set whenever I start it for the first time when it's cold. So I'll work on those things. But until then, I'll put the little finishing touch here on.
"12 seconds later. A few moments later.
Where is it? Alright, there's a 289. Only thing I got left to do, the big job, is get the hood put on. I'm waiting on a couple bolts for the hood hinges, so should be here tomorrow and we'll be wrapping this baby up. That and the headlights. Okay, I got my parts in for the 66. These should be the last remaining little bits and pieces I needed to get it finished, put back together. So that's the gasket that goes up on the above the firewall between that and the hood. There's the clips that hold that on, grommets that go on the brake lines, and just different bolts and fasteners that hold a few different things on. So let's get started putting that on, and then we can get the headlight and grille and stuff put back in. Alright, that's all I can do up there until I get some more screws I found. Not that I can't find. Well, I found them, they're just the wrong ones. So let's go ahead and put that piece of molding up there on the top and get the hood hinges bolted down. Got ready to start putting the grille in, and as I took off the fog light section to just clean up some stuff, realized that this grille is pretty bad shape. So this is an original 66 grille. And you can see we've got broken pieces here. This is all aluminum. We've got some of the rivets that have pulled out, and these are rivets that you have to have a special type of tool to put them back in, which I don't have, and it's just going to take quite a bit of work to get it. It would never look great, so I'm going to go ahead and order a replacement grille, and I'll probably fit it to accept fog lights, because most of these come without the fog light stuff, since most cars want GTs. So I have to install these pieces to hold the fog lights, and then it's got some kind of weird hardware on it that I know is not correct, so I'm gonna have to find the right bolts and stuff to hold this in. Somebody's messed with it over the years. But other than that, there's a couple of things I can do while I'm waiting on that. So let's go ahead and get these headlight surround pieces back on, and then I guess the next thing to do is be able to get the hood installed. This is what happens when you have 3 projects going on at once. Okay, I'm almost finished with the 66. Working on fog lights, grille, finishing touches on that. The terrain is just now starting. So I have all the terrain parts crammed in right here. Andy's Mustang parts is running to an end there over there, and now the terrain and the Mustang parts are starting to intermingle. So every time you need a part, you're going through here trying to find stuff and make sure that what you need is for the right car. So hopefully the 66 will be out of here this week, and then we'll have only 2 to contend with. Alright, I think I'm going to go get some help and finally get this hood put back on. So alright, I got the hood on, car's running. I'm getting ready to back it out of here for the first time in many months. Still missing the grill, waiting on that to come in. Here we go. Okay, this should be the final day of work on the 66. I got to do a few odds and ends, like tighten up those bolts for the brace up there, and I never could find the right bolts up at the front. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up for the time being until I can find some. I've got to install the other horn, which I just sandblasted and painted, and I told you about the bad grill, the grill that was bad, so I got the new one of those in, and install the fog lights on that, and the fog light brackets, which I sandblasted and painted. So let's take a look at those and get those things installed. Alright, so here are these pieces that I just got ready. There's the horn, of course, sandblasted and painted. There's the fog light brackets, and they're the original ones. It says top right hand and some top left hand. And they will go on this. Unfortunately, I had to buy a reproduction grill. Mine was just too bad a shape, but it does have the holes for these fog light brackets, so that's good. So get all that installed, and man, we're almost done.
12 seconds later.
Okay, let's see how we did on the horns. Hopefully we got good connection. It kind of sounded a little sick there, but it worked. Alright, everything's ready on the car. I've got the bolts all tightened down. I checked to make sure this grill is going to fit. Got it ready to go on. And then, of course, the last little piece I have to put on the grill with these fog lights. And I'm missing the little screws that go right in there. So I'm going to have to go to town, go to the store, and make sure I can find the right thread screws to fit in there. But the grill is looking nice. So I run in town, 2 more screws, and put it on. We should be done.
A few moments later.
Okay, I got the screws I need. There it is, all put together. Let's get it put on the car. Be done. Okay, that's the last of it. So let's check and make sure the fog lights work. Alright. Now the only really thing we need to do is I need to put a bolt on this battery terminal. And that's it. So let's get this thing cleaned up and maybe go take it on a spin. Hey guys, so we're finally done with the 66 project. It's been a long time, a few months since we took the engine out, and we've got it all back together. Happy with the way it turns out. Didn't really do that much on the outside. We did have the hood painted. If you guys remember, there was a dent right here. So that Body Man Mike replaced that and matched it up super good, I think. There's a good match in paint. Here's the engine. So you can see the engine's bay's all done. The engine's all painted. Everything is, we tried to get as close as we could within reason to the way it was at the factory, like with the manganese phosphate. You remember those? The shock tower tops and the hood hinges and latches and everything else that was that way originally. So let us know what you think in the comments. But it's 4-speed 289 A code. Interior has all been redone, new carpet. And this thing will be coming up for sale shortly. Got a couple more little things to do to it and it'll be ready. But for now, we're just gonna go take a little fun drive with it and enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.